From the Illuminati to Skull and Bones, you've heard about secret societies controlling the world, but the real powers controlling your life don't meet in temples or wear robes. They control what you see online, what you can afford to buy, and whether you keep your job tomorrow. By the end of this video, you'll know which organizations actually run your life, and they're hiding in plain sight. Every secret society, ranked by real power, the Priory of Sion. Control over your life, absolutely zero, because it never existed. The Priory claimed to be founded in 1099, guardians of Jesus' bloodline through the Merovingian dynasty. Grand Masters allegedly included Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton. Dan Brown's The Da Vinci Code sold 80 million copies, treating it as real. The truth: Pierre Plantard invented the entire thing in his Paris apartment in 1956. He forged documents, planted them in the Bibliothèque Nationale, and created fake genealogies. In 1993, under oath in French court, he admitted everything. The Priory of Sion controls nothing. It was a con man with a typewriter, but it proves something important. People want to believe in hidden powers, even when they don't exist. Next up, a society that actually existed but dissolved over a century ago, yet still influences modern occultism. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Control over your life, cultural influence on modern occultism, zero political or economic power. Founded in 1887 in London by 3 Freemasons who claimed secret manuscripts revealed ritual magic. Members included poet W.B. Yeats and Aleister Crowley. They practiced Hermetic Kabbalah, summoned entities, and performed elaborate ceremonies. The order collapsed by 1903 due to internal feuds. But its legacy, every modern Wiccan ritual, every tarot spread in a New Age shop, every ceremonial magic system, traces back to Golden Dawn teachings. Does this affect your daily life? Only if you're into occultism. They don't control governments, banks, or corporations. They control aesthetic, the look and feel of modern Western magic. The Golden Dawn matters to historians of esotericism, to your mortgage payment. Not at all. From Victorian magicians to modern American elite, next is a society that actually does network power. Skull and Bones. Control over your life, elite networking that opens doors but doesn't dictate policy. Founded at Yale in 1832, 15 seniors tapped annually. Members include 3 presidents, Taft, George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, plus CIA founders, Supreme Court justices, and Fortune 500 CEOs. The power is real, but limited. Skull and Bones gets you the interview. It gets you the phone call. It gets your son into Yale. But it doesn't control the Federal Reserve or start wars. When both 2004 presidential candidates, Bush and Kerry, were bonesmen and refused to discuss it, people screamed conspiracy. The reality? It's Harvard's finals clubs. It's Oxford's Bullingdon. Elite university networking formalized into ritual. Does Skull and Bones affect your life? Only if you're competing for jobs with Yale graduates. They're not controlling inflation or your rent. They're controlling who gets the Goldman Sachs internship. From university elites to religious elites who actually do infiltrate corporations and governments. Opus Dei. Control over your life, moderate, through corporate and political influence in specific regions. Founded in 1928 by Spanish priest José María Escrivá. Today, 95,000 members in 90 countries. Members practice corporal mortification, the silice, a spiked chain worn on the thigh, the discipline, a whip for self-flagellation. But here's what matters. Opus Dei members infiltrated Franco's Spain, controlling economic policy as technocrats in the 1960s. They've held positions in corporate boards, government ministries, and universities globally. In 1982, they bailed out the Vatican Bank with $250 million. Do they control your life? If you live in Spain, Latin America, or work in certain Catholic-heavy industries? Possibly. Opus Dei members network, advance each other, and push conservative Catholic values in business and politics. But they're regional, not global. They don't set interest rates. They don't control tech platforms. They're influential where Catholicism is influential, from religious networking to secular networking among the global elite. Bohemian Grove. Control over your life, moderate to high, because policy ideas are born when elites relax together. Every July, 2,500 to 3,000 of the most powerful men in America gather in a 2,700-acre redwood forest in California. No women, ever. Members include presidents, CEOs, military leaders, Supreme Court justices. They perform the cremation of care before a 40-foot owl, then spend 2 weeks drinking, networking, and discussing the world. The Manhattan Project was allegedly conceived at the Grove in 1942. Henry Kissinger gave talks there. Reagan and Nixon both attended before their presidencies. Does Bohemian Grove control your life? Indirectly, yes. When the CEO of Lockheed Martin drinks with the Secretary of Defense under redwoods, defense contracts get discussed. When Federal Reserve members talk monetary policy with bank CEOs in private, those ideas become policy. It's not conspiracy. It's how power actually works. Informal conversations between people who make formal decisions. But they're still just networking. The next entries control actual systems. Freemasons. Control over your life. Significant through embedded networks in law enforcement, judiciary, and local government. 6 million Masons worldwide. In many countries, especially UK, US, and former British colonies, Freemasons hold disproportionate positions in police, judiciary, and politics. In some UK police departments, Masonic membership was so common it raised corruption concerns. Officers would protect fellow Masons. Freemasons don't control the world, but they do control courtrooms, police stations, and city councils in specific regions. If a judge, prosecutor, and police chief are all Masons, and you're not, good luck getting a fair trial in that town. This isn't theory. In Italy, the P2 Masonic Lodge had 962 members, including government ministers, judges, and military leaders. They nearly overthrew the government. Do Freemasons affect your life? If you're involved in local politics, law enforcement, or legal disputes, potentially yes. They're a network. Networks favor their own. But Freemasons still don't control what you see online, what you buy, or global finance. The next three do. Big tech. Control over your life. Massive. Because they control what information you see and what you're allowed to say. Google processes 8.5 billion searches per day. That's 99,000 searches per second. Google's algorithm decides what you find. Meta, Facebook, and Instagram has 3.98 billion monthly users. Their algorithm decides what you see in your feed, what news reaches you, what opinions you're exposed to. Amazon controls 38% of US e-commerce. Their algorithm decides which products you see first, which sellers succeed, which businesses die. Here's what you need to understand. These aren't neutral platforms. They curate reality. Google search suppresses certain sites. YouTube's algorithm promotes certain content. Facebook's newsfeed shapes political opinions. You think you're exploring the internet freely. You're walking through a designed maze. In 2016, Facebook admitted their algorithm influenced voter turnout. In 2021, a whistleblower revealed Instagram's algorithm harms teen mental health, and Meta knew. Big tech doesn't just influence culture. They shape what reality looks like to billions. Do they control your life? If you use Google, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or Amazon, yes, they control what you know, what you buy, and increasingly, what you're allowed to think. From information control to money control. The institutions that decide if you can afford to live. Central banks. Control over your life. Extreme. Because they control the value of money itself. The Federal Reserve, European Central Bank, and Bank of England aren't elected. They're appointed. Yet they set interest rates that determine your mortgage payment, your car loan, whether your company hires or fires you. When the Federal Reserve raises interest rates, borrowing becomes expensive. Companies cut jobs. Mortgages become unaffordable. When they lower rates, asset prices inflate. Housing becomes unaffordable for a different reason. In 2008, central banks bailed out financial institutions with trillions of taxpayer dollars. You weren't consulted. In 2020, the Federal Reserve printed $4 trillion. 35% of all dollars in existence were created in 1 year. Your savings lost value. You weren't asked. Central banks control inflation, employment, and whether you can afford a house. They do this behind closed doors. Their meetings are secret. Their models are complex. Their decisions are final. Do central banks control your life? Absolutely. They decide if your paycheck buys groceries or if you're priced out of home ownership, and you have zero vote in their decisions. But central banks answer to governments, theoretically. The next entry answers to no one. BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Control over your life, nearly total, because they own the companies that make every decision affecting you. These three firms manage over $20 trillion in assets. They're the largest shareholders in almost every major corporation. Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Google, ExxonMobil, Pfizer, Coca-Cola, McDonald's, BlackRock and Vanguard are top shareholders in all of them. Here's what that means. When these firms vote their shares, they control corporate policy. They decide CEO pay, environmental policy, labor practices. If BlackRock wants companies to adopt ESG, environmental, social, governance, standards, companies comply. BlackRock manages $10 trillion. CEOs listen. But here's the twist. Vanguard's largest shareholder is BlackRock. BlackRock's largest shareholder is Vanguard. They own each other. It's a closed loop of power concentrating wealth and control. Do they control your life? Yes. They own your employer. They own your bank. They own the companies that set your health insurance premiums. When you buy anything, food, gas, medicine, you're enriching a company where BlackRock or Vanguard is a top shareholder. This isn't conspiracy. It's public record. Search any Fortune 500 company's shareholder list. You'll see the same names. But even BlackRock operates in free markets, theoretically. The number one entry doesn't. The Chinese Communist Party. Control over your life. Absolute. If you're one of the 1.4 billion people living under their rule. Significant globally through economic leverage. The CCP controls every aspect of life in China. Your speech, monitored through social credit scores. Your movement, tracked through 700 million surveillance cameras with facial recognition. Your internet, filtered through the Great Firewall. Your job, subject to party approval. Your children's education, dictated by party curriculum. Dissent, you disappear. Ask Jack Ma, founder of Alibaba, who criticized regulators in 2020 and vanished for 3 months. Ask the Uyghurs in Xinjiang, over 1 million in re-education camps. Ask Hong Kong, where democracy was erased overnight with the national security law. But here's what affects you, even if you don't live in China. The CCP controls global supply chains. Your phone, your laptop, your clothes, likely made in China under CCP oversight. They leverage economic access to silence criticism. Hollywood self-censors to access Chinese markets. The NBA apologized for a tweet supporting Hong Kong. The CCP uses debt trap diplomacy through the Belt and Road Initiative, lending to poor countries, then seizing infrastructure when they can't repay. They control ports in Sri Lanka, Greece, and across Africa. Do they control your life? If you live in China, completely. If you live elsewhere, they control what products you can buy, what movies get made, and increasingly, what your government is willing to say. Because China is the world's factory, and the CCP is China. This is the number one society controlling lives on Earth. Not through symbols or rituals, through surveillance, economic power, and the willingness to use force without hesitation. So here's the truth. The Illuminati dissolved in 1787. The Priory of Sion never existed. Skull and Bones gets you networking drinks, not nuclear codes. But BlackRock owns your employer. Central banks set your mortgage rate. Big tech decides what you see. And if you live under the CCP, they decide everything. The real secret societies don't hide. They have websites, stock tickers, and quarterly earnings reports. They're not secret because of symbols. They're secret because you're not paying attention. Don't forget to like and subscribe.